YouTube is up and we are ready to go. So, who would like to start with check-in? Anybody in particular? Rod, mic in hand, go ahead.
Where's the, I've only been doing this for almost 20 years.
Yeah, it's one of these days.
My name is Robert Dodig. I am well. I have no time constraints. Missing, we have Bonnie missing, and Christy Schroed is missing. No offense. Expectation is one word, finish.
I'm Will Rothenberg. I am doing well. No time constraint. Missing is noted. I'm seeing one of the TALC side missing. No elephants. Expectation is finished also.
I'm Heather Leonard. I'm doing well this evening. I don't have any time constraints outside of normal time. And this thing has already been noted. No elephants and expectation. I'd like to finish as well.
Kelly Ledger and 5, time constraints. Missing noted, no elephants.
And Kimberly Hutchins, I'm good. No time constraints, missing noted, no elephant, and finish.
I'm Carl Burnside. I'm doing fine. No time constraints. I assume everyone who's missing has already been noted. No elephants. And I don't know if I want to call it expectation or aspiration, but I'll say finish.
Jessica Duncan, doing fine, no time constraints. You added Shanna. No elephants, and my expectation is to finish.
Hi, I'm Rachel Gould. I'm doing well, no time constraints, and no elephants, and to finish.
Good afternoon, Ben Osman. I am great. I don't have any time constraints. The missing's noted, no elephants, and the expectation is to finish.
Hi, I'm Mike Gatewood. I'm doing great. No time constraints. Missing is noted. No elephants. Expectation to finish.
Hi, I'm Suzette Rivera. I'm doing well. No time constraints. Missing has been noted. No elephants, and my expectations are also to finish.
All right, thank you very much. Kerr, you have the mic?
Yes.
Okay.
So, wow, that's really loud. I'm Kerr Fazone. I'm doing fine. I have no time constraints. I think missing's been noted, or? Yeah. Okay, yeah, missing has been noted. No elephants. Expectation. How about schedule 6 more bargaining sessions? No, I'll go with finish.
For next year.
My name is, whoa, you're right, Jesus. My name is Kevin Daly, and I'm the president of the Teachers Association of Lee County. I am consistently trying to whisper at this point. Time constraints, none other than 7:30. Missing has been noted, no elephants, and I'm gonna go with Carl, and my finished comment is aspirational.
Hi, my name is Jill. I am a PCT at Varsity Lakes Middle School and the vice president of TALC. I'm doing quite well. Time constraints just till our end time. Who's missing has been noted. No elephants, and I'm going to go with finish.
Hello, my name is Anna Witten. I am a 3rd grade teacher at Colonial Elementary as well as the TALC secretary.
I am doing fine, no time constraints, missing's noted, no elephants, and I will go with finish as well.
My name is Samantha Howard. I'm a PCT at Harns Marsh Middle School. I'm fine. I have no time constraints. Missing has been noted, no elephants, and I will also go to finish.
Top five. Hi, my name is Shay Pearson. I am a testing coordinator at Island Coast High School. I am doing well. I have no time constraints. Missing has been noted, no elephants, and I would also like to finish.
Good afternoon, my name is Amy Johnson. I am a teacher at Mariner Middle School. I am doing well today. I have no time constraints. I guess missing's been noted, no elephants, and I'm gonna go with finish for my expectation.
Good evening, my name is LaShonda Hutchins Cologne, and I am the math coach at Franklin Park Elementary. I'm pretty good today. I have no time constraints, missing is noted, no elephants, and I'll agree, let's finish.
Good evening, my name is Iris Grimaldi. I am a school social worker currently assigned to Lehigh Senior High School. I'm doing well, have no time constraints, missing has been noted, no elephants, and my expectations is also to finish.
Good afternoon, my name is Louis Fisher. I'm the Director of Bands at Gateway High School. I'm doing okay for being first day back after spring break. I have no time constraints, missing has been noted. There are no elephants, and my expectation is to have the same level of sanity that I came in here with.
I'm Christina Starrett, and I'm doing very well. I'm a kindergarten through 5th grade art teacher at Tortuga. I have no time constraints, missing's noted, no elephants, and I'm going to follow protocol with finish, please.
Good afternoon, my name is Bob Scovatullo. I teach at Three Oaks Middle School mathematics, and I'm also on the TALC area coordinator, executive board, and I'm doing great, no time constraints, missing is noted, no elephants, expectations are to finish, or get her done, as we used to say years ago.
Hi, I'm Tara Sherman. I'm the school counselor at Raymond C. Page Elementary. I'm doing great, no time constraints, missing is noted, no elephants, and my expectation is also to finish.
Hello, Mario Dorstal, Fort Myers High School Mathematics, doing well, no time constraint, missing is noted, no elephants, and let's finish.
Amy? Amy French, doing well, no time constraints, missing is noted, no elephants, and expectations are to finish.
Tracy Kohler, principal at Benita Elementary. I'm doing very well. Time constraints none. Who's missing? Missing's been noted. No elephants in the room. Expectations to finish.
And good afternoon. I hope everybody had a wonderful spring break. I'm Donna Mutzenard. I'm doing well. I have no time constraints, and I can stay until we finish. So let's get started. All right, when we left on the 18th, while they're putting paper away, we had one option, and I know we left with the caveat that people wanted to kind of process it, and we also have some minutes. What minutes do we have that we have to go through? 28th of February, that's the only one? Dates for minutes that you've already gotten? Did you get the 18th of March? Okay. How about the 14th? Did we meet on the 14th?
We don't have this minutes. I'll be sending the draft for the 14th in just a second.
Okay.
I forgot I had started on those and then didn't finish them. I was like one page away from being done, so.
Okay, but we do have the 18th
Yep.
and the 28th of February?
No, it was just the 18th.
It's just
Sorry.
the 18th.
Yeah, today is the 28th.
Right.
Sorry, I got confused.
All right. So can we look at the minutes for the 18th? Are there any corrections, deletions, comments? Bob?
Thank you.
On page 2, the 7th bullet down, where it says Florida statute requires that certain things be held in confidence, however, that's as it relates. I don't know what, probably it's a grammatical error there. And on page 4, the 5th bullet down, the district ran some additional numbers to provide similar options that might fight within. I think that it probably should be fit within, maybe, right? Okay. And then on page 8, the 12th bullet down, I think that what we need to decided collectively, and I think that should just be the word decide collectively. And that's all I have.
Okay, anybody else have anything?
What was the date? I'm sorry.
That was March 18th. Are you all set, or do you have something? Okay, go ahead.
I hope, I didn't miss this one, Bob, so I'm sorry if you mentioned it. Under bargaining authority on page 16 of 17, the 4th bullet, it should say the $1,000 is non-recurring funds, non-reoccurring funds.
Okay, that's it, Kurt? All right. We have the changes for the 18th, so can we accept the minutes from March 18th with the changes included? May I see thumbs, please? All right, we are good for the minutes for March 18th. And the ones from the 14th are coming to you, but we won't be able to do those this evening. If we finish tonight, when we finish tonight, I should say, we can do that by email if we have to, along with the minutes from this evening if we need to. So, with that, we do have the one option, which you should have in your minutes from the 18th. Kurt?
Did we approve the minutes from February 28th?
We did. No. All right, so do we have minutes? We have minutes from the 28th as well. Corrections, Kurt?
Yeah, whenever, just let me know when you're ready. There were 24 pages of minutes here, so there are a few.
From
February 28th. You ready?
Yep.
First page, first bullet, after check-in, second line, the word rust should be trust. Same page, fourth bullet, second line, the word authorized should be deleted. It's in there twice. Page 5, fifth bullet from the bottom, request should be requests. Page 7, fifth bullet, close parentheses at the end of the line. Same page, ninth bullet, add the word "the" before federal. Page 11, option 2, add a list of the schools. Page 15, second bullet under story, we talk should be we're talking. Same page, second bullet from the bottom, the word fiver should be 5.
How many more do you have? Do I need to?
One more. Page 23. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bullet from the bottom. It should say 7.5 instead of 7 raised to the 1/2 power, square root of 7, whatever it is. And that's it.
I'm sorry, 7.5
It should say 7.5. It says 7 to the 1/2. It's just notation, yeah.
Anna?
Back.
How many do you have?
I don't know.
Is it, I don't have the print, let's say.
His pages are different than my pages.
Oh, are they?
Yes. So I have on page 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th bullet down. It says, then you need to have some skin the game, should be skin in the game. The 8th bullet down says, another recommendation is to 8 more schools, add 8 more schools. Then on page 13, the 10th bullet down has couldn't period find the money, the period needs to be taken out. The 12th bullet down says, in January, the shared interest should be interests we came up with.
Sorry, can you say that one time? Should be interest with this?
Yes, instead of interest. Second bullet from the bottom, talk should be talked.
Say it one more time.
Talk, past tense, ed. I think that's all I have.
Okay, anybody else for the minutes from the 28th?
One more, page 2. Second bullet down, spend should be spent. That's it, thank you.
Bob?
Our pages didn't really coincide with Kerr's pages, so I don't know if Kerr addressed this or not. On page 7 of my page, option 1 is nothing there.
On the next page.
Is that the option of the turnaround schools?
Yes.
Okay. But usually there's some words that go along with it, but.
Okay, anything else on February 28th minutes? All right, Adding those corrections to the February 28th minutes, can we approve February 28th? May I see thumbs, please? All right, we are good for the 28th. Any more minutes that we need to approve? We're good? Okay. So, we left with an option that you can see on the 18th minutes, but do you want this option read before we go on? I also have a snapshot here from Article 10 with our interest, so Kevin.
I think since that meeting, there's been an increase to board contributions, so I don't know if the district has reworked that option with the increase in board contribution or
not. Is that?
Well, I think there were several options. I don't want to call them options. There were several discussion points shared with TALC. I know with Kerr, I believe. I can't see him, so.
I know.
Which include different variations of the pay band option that's up there. Because Kevin's right, we did receive an additional bargaining authority of $2 million, which we talked about at our last session just briefly. So, eager to hear from TALC. I don't know if you all worked through anything else in addition to what we put up there last time.
Kevin?
Yes, we did.
Okay.
Kerr is currently fiddling with the numbers. We were a little off with the Excel, but yeah, and I don't know if you want to throw up, because I think we got the email at like 3:40 with the 16 different options. And so I don't know if it's worth kind of throwing up here just so they can see, the rest of the team can see that right there.
Yeah, our concern from this end is the math, and I think we'll share this, hasn't been completely vetted by budget. So some of the math may be somewhat inaccurate in here.
Okay.
Kerr?
My feeling is if your math is a little off and our math is a little off, then maybe we could put both up and see where we land somewhere in the middle.
All right. So, do we have?
Start with the district's option?
Sure. We have what they did last time,
Yeah, I mean, we have a talking point. I don't know what we're calling these. I don't want to call them options because I guess they are options, but a straw design could be a combination of these or something to that effect. So.
All right, so let's put them up as options if
My concern is the cost, and I'm not going to put the cost up there at this point.
Okay.
Because that's not clear exactly what it is. But so option one. Okay, option two would be a 2% across the board increase. Okay. Number two would just be a true up to the minimum base salary of $47,500. Yes, it's two on my sheet.
Okay.
A true up to the minimum base starting salary of $47,500 after a 2% increase. Yeah. A 3% across the board increase.
That's option 4.
Yes.
What's that?
Then we have what would be option 5, I guess. This involves the pay bands after a 3% increase. Zero to 3 years, 47.5. 4 to 6 years, 48,750. 7 to 13, 49,500. And 14 years, 14 plus, 51,000. Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, I can keep going. We're gonna be here all night if I have to keep doing it.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I have, like Kerr said, 16 different things here, so.
So, is this enough to work off of, or do you want to hear all?
Yeah, Will can put them up on the screen,
Okay, that'd be,
but we somehow have to get them into the minutes,
Right.
obviously.
I'll find it.
Okay.
Oh, looks like. All right, so Will's gonna put them up on the. And remember that what's going on up there is numbered a little differently because it started with 1, but we already had an option 1. Okay, so he adjusted that, so option 5 is the last one we charted. Kevin?
So I also want to ask a question about total dollars available. And so the board contribution was 9. There's an additional 2, which makes 11, and then TISA is on top of that, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's the math we were working on.
Just trying to verify that, Kevin, just hold on.
I think in one of the last presentations Amy did, it was, I don't know what date that was. It had that listed separately.
Right, that's what we're trying to, because I know that was when Amy was here.
Yeah, that's free money from the governor, so that shouldn't count towards board contribution.
Okay, no, I think what Kevin specified is accurate.
Okay, all right. Anything else? Do you need these,
I think, yeah, I push him up this one, but I think Kerr's working on a spreadsheet too.
Okay, so can you move this up so we can see option 8, Will? 8 and those that follow. All right, there's 8, 9, and 10. Yep. Yeah. Will.
So just to give some background, so we looked at just a couple different possible scenarios with the pay bands. The number 8, you can see there's a difference there. We were asked what things might look like if we were to do, instead of bands based on years, if we did it based on career ladder level. And you can see number 8 there has the national average for teacher salary as the target for the accomplished grandfather teacher, and then the current state average as the target for career level. As you might imagine, this particular option is pretty expensive. That's a pretty big change. But again, I think there was some interest in looking at those two numbers or trying to set our sights on that, if not for this year, for future years, to be able to say, once we reach the state average, there's still a long way to go before we're paying competitively with what teachers earn in other states.
Okay, so the rest of them are based on the apprentice, career, and accomplished / grandfather, the rest of the options.
Yep.
Okay? Any questions on that, Kevin?
As you get down to the bottom, there's some singular priced items, like the differentiation of the ESE supplement and bringing back advanced degree. Do we have, advanced degree is probably the easiest one to think about because it's just applying a number to more people. Do you have kind of a rough estimate of what that would cost to bring back advanced degree?
Well,
no, we didn't cost that one out. We had some discussion about that though, and I think have shared kind of on the district bargaining team side the arbitration from Polk County that TALC referenced that I think kind of has a different legal interpretation of some of the statutory language. The arbitration is not binding over the district, but obviously it provides, kind of some legal grounds that if we were to have a different opinion of how that statute, is or can be interpreted, we could do that. We don't have Christy Schroed here tonight, so we would need to find out more about that. But there has been some discussion. There's a lot to untangle with the advanced degree stuff because of those changes in statute and the fact that some people are receiving it as a component of pay and some people are receiving it as a supplement. And then there's also the distinction between people that are receiving it because their hire date allowed them to receive it for whatever, and then there's other people that it has to be in their area of certification because they were hired after a certain date. We're still trying to untangle that whole mess of things, and it honestly, it makes the data a little bit trickier to find.
And I just know that I think we lose in a competitive marketplace with the district's current interpretation of the law because I believe the district to the south of us has a much more liberal interpretation of what qualifies. And I think it gets to the idea around where we got the special instructional pay up. We were arguing over years of experience for like, a social worker who may have not worked at a school but done social work with kids and that experience. So we were arguing 6 months for an employee over like, $300. And so I think competitively, at least looking at what the other districts and their interpretation would put us at least on a competitive level field when looking to get people or steal people or find people or whatever. Recruit, sorry, not steal, recruit.
Well,
I think you're right there, and one of the conversations that I know that I have had with Heather and Kim some is there's no advantage to the district side of things in making that a more complicated process. Having to give someone a work experience form, them take it back to their prior employer, hope that they're still in their prior employer's good graces, that their prior employer knows how to fill out the form properly, gets it notarized, sends it back, and then maybe you worked at 3 different places. It's cumbersome and on staffing to try and interpret that, and then for recruitment to try and reassure people that we're working as quickly as possible to get them the pay information that they need to secure housing or other stuff if they're trying to relocate. I think I think there is an interest from the district side in simplifying that process. Again, it's how do we untangle things and how do we make sure that we're still accurately recording the information that we're required to provide the state for reporting purposes, and that's part of the challenge, along with finding the time to kind of redo a system that's been in place for years and years and train people on that and everything. And so that's why I think if there's something that is out there that's manageable, I think we have that shared interest in figuring out what it is. And I don't know if I captured that accurately based on my conversations with Heather, but yeah, she's nodding, so.
Okay, so with that, is that something we could do as an option to look at for next year's negotiations, or is that something you want to include now?
Well, I think, again, in the interest of everybody's shared interest, including the employees and the administrators of the school district, that's certainly something that I think we can talk about. Next year, it'll give us more time to get the data together, and there'll be a record increase to base student allocation. So maybe there's a little more money. We'll have a little more freedom with our TISA money as well.
Well,
I would just say it's something too that we could discuss in labor management if necessary. And so if there's a way to, again, make it easier on everyone, I don't imagine that Heather would want to prolong that. If there's an easier way to do it, they might say, yeah, let's talk about an MOU for the start of the school year rather than, wait until after all the onboarding and everything has already occurred for any new employees. But again, I think that maybe is a distinction without a difference or a difference without a distinction.
okay, so that's something we could put as an option and put it as a straw design for compensation. Would you want that as an option? That when and if we put a straw design together?
And I'd also honestly to include the ESE differentiated supplement as well in that. That may not be something that costs very much money because of the limited scope of employees.
You want it like this and add your labor management or next year?
The ESE differential?
Yeah, that as well, if that's all right with Rob and Rhonda over there. Thanks.
That's fine.
Okay, she added that to it. Anything else, or do you? Well,
I was just trying to slow down.
just put options at the top there, so you can number. I guess it
One
would
for
be,
16.
we have 17 of them there.
ESE is 15 and I3 is 14.
Well, you can separate them.
Plus one, I'm sorry, 15.
Okay. So this is a new one, so this would be 18.
Okay.
All right, so has everybody had a chance all 17 options have been put up on the screen? Everybody had a chance to look at them? Where do you want to go next? We have a lot of options. Does TALC have any options?
I think Kurt just sent that to Will's because we can't on our FEA computers do that thing. So I think he just sent it to Will to throw up.
Okay.
Throw up on the screen, right?
Yes, please. Put up on the screen. Is this only one option, Kerr?
Yes.
Up there? Okay. So it'd be 19.
We're starting with only one.
Okay.
so I sent the one where we did the, okay, I'll ask. Yeah, that's it.
That's it?
That's it.
Okay.
So I guess this is
So
option.
you want to explain this?
Sure, I'll explain it a little bit, and then I think I'll pass down to some of my colleagues to expound on it, if that's okay. I'm looking down the table. So when we left, oh wow, what was it, the March 18th or bargaining session, we looked at banding salaries, and we looked at what money was available from the board and from TISA, and tried to see how we could spread that out over various years of experience, which we used years X to not just provide some increases to folks at the bottom of the salary schedule, but also provide some sort of recognition to those that have put in 14, 19, 20 plus years of service. There were some in our data sheet that we were looking at that had over 40, I think 39, 40 years of district service. So that's a lot of time, and we wanted to recognize that. And so you'll see that there's an increase in column D based on the years, and we calculated that with we estimated FICA because we believe that, and please correct me if I'm wrong, that the bargaining authority did or did not include the FICA already. The 11 million
Kelly
bargaining
nodding
authority.
her head. Yes, it did.
The FICA would have to come out of the bargaining authority.
Okay, that's what we thought, and so we tried to stay within that bargaining authority. And then you see that there's also on line 11, there's a $225 salary increase, which would exhaust the TISA money. And so just to give you an example, I really shouldn't do this math on the fly again, but if I have 2 years of experience under our proposal, the increase would be $870. Because you would take the 645 and add the 225. But I think I'll pass the mic down if anybody else has anything they'd like to add.
Anybody else? Question? Yes.
So Kerr, everyone gets the 225?
Yes. Everybody gets the 225.
Okay.
Okay.
I know it looks a little convoluted this way, but we broke it up so that you could see the two pots of money.
All right, we're going to pass it to Shay.
So I wish I would have actually changed this to show the original, the TISA money first. So basically what we did is we took that TISA money, we added $225 to every employee. That way we knew that anyone that was making $47,300 would be at the $47,500, which had to be by statute. We then looked at years of experience. Now, I know when we were at our last bargaining session and we did bonuses based on when they started, you had talked about the divide between new teachers and teachers that have been here all year. The problem or challenge here is that the governor created a very small gap between that 0 year and that 20 year. And we really wanted to kind of wrong a right here. People in 0 to 2 years ultimately got over $6,000 raise last year, where people in 20 years plus may have got a $1,200 raise. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to recognize those veteran teachers, because without those veteran teachers, those new teachers have no one to mentor them, no one to teach them, no one to be there when they fall or when they rise. And if we want to talk about retention, retention is paying the people what they're worth. And I want those 20 plus, those 14 plus, all the teachers to stay and come back next year. And bonuses are great, but bonuses aren't base salary. And in an area where we don't have affordable housing and inflation has gone up the way it's gone up, we have to start paying people their worth.
All right, anybody else? Any other questions on what was put up there? Rob?
Another question, just a tacit agreement with that. The compression that the governor's 47.5 has caused is a large concern of ours, so we share that.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Questions, clarifications? Any questions on the other 17 options that were up there? All right.
Hold on.
Yep, Will.
So one of the questions that has kind of come up from our side is there are JROTC instructors don't typically have years X, and there's special instructional staff that also might not have years X. So I don't know how that would impact the estimate, but I think something worth accounting for and looking at what the total cost would be.
Kevin?
I get the years X confused. That's years with the district, right?
Years X is years of credible teaching experience. D is district years.
And so when an employee is hired, like from the special instructional group, is I can't say it for me because I work here every day, but let's say you come from somewhere else and you bring in 10 credible years. Your year X is 10, right? I'm trying to figure out if special instructional doesn't have it because they don't need it or because nobody's bothered to do it because they start at step 10, in the old step 10. See what I'm saying?
I think so. I think some of it would depend on what was submitted when people were hired, if that makes any sense. So I know at different points we had different maximum amounts of experience credit that different people that were special instructional could bring in. And so, you could have someone, kind of to your point, with 16 years of experience, but we're only honoring 10 out of state, so they're coming in at 10. You could have someone who brought us stuff that was, not relevant or not related because it was, not teaching work experience, it was retail store experience. I don't know if I guess it's an individual assessment that would be highly contingent upon what the person offers and what the salary schedule or contract said at the time of their hire.
So the 59 number does not include any JROTC or any. It must, right? It does, yeah?
Yeah, I think the 5,900 total bargaining unit members, if you're doing that based off of years X, I guess I would, the question would be if you went back and looked at the underlying data, are you looking at counselors with 0 years? Are you looking at JROTC people that have 0 years kind of consistently as a group? And then making sure that if that is the case, that kind of what you're saying is not that you want all counselors to start at 47.5, because that's something that we obviously, worked to try and address the last go around. And those might not be the best examples. I know that ROTC, they're on, and this is getting kind of technical. So there's IPERF, ITUN, and then IROTC. They're on IROTC, so they're on a different setup in the system, and somehow that has something to do with the fact that the military pays half of their pay, and so it has to be done separately. But it's a separate kind of accounting of things.
Kevin?
So would it be, I always hate putting these words together, would it be safe to assume, based on hire date with the district, the best estimate of years X would be years with the district for that group for those groups of employees? I'm trying to figure out a way to get a good number to hook them in here, because you're right, I want to have the people placed at the appropriate level, you know what I mean? I don't want to deny somebody extra money because we can't figure something out.
Roger?
One second.
Oh, okay. Will?
So I think I understood Kevin's question, and I feel bad because I feel like I raised the issue without having a possible solution out there, but just saying this might be a potential pitfall. A school nurse, for example, they do not earn years D. So they would not have district years to look at. They would earn years L, longevity, so just years of district service. So it might be different by different employee groups if you're trying to figure out some substitute data to plug in there. My understanding is that every year, on July 1, the clock rolls forward and 1 year X is added for anyone who has been here for, a significant portion of that year. So again, it's not to say that people wouldn't have anything, it's just that those numbers might be distorted and might be lower. And so those people might show up in this estimate in the low end of things where they actually would probably belong somewhere else.
Okay. Anybody else?
So if you could maybe give some clarification, because for example, I'm special instructional. I've been here for 16 years. When I originally was hired, I had about 15 years of social work experience, but because I worked with adults, I was given no credit. So I started at 1, so basically I'm here 16 years, so where does that put me under your years X?
Well,
so this would have whatever years X are recorded in there, and everyone can see their years X and their years D if that's applicable on PeopleSoft. It's on the employee current compensation page. One of the things, and this is again, I think, part of the challenge, and where because of some of our state reporting requirements, nothing that sounds easy ever is. Heather shared with me, there's, I think, like 22 different years codes where we're supposed to report stuff, and the state has different definitions, and so it's, consecutive teaching years, non-consecutive teaching years, consecutive district teaching years, non-consecutive district teaching years. There's all of these things that have to be accounted for, and so I don't think, and Heather has said this before, I don't think that originally the intention was for this data to be used in the way that we're using it, but we're using it now, and that's why we've tried to stay kind of in those familiar lanes of years X, years D, and years L, because we know that those are reliable data. I do think, though, kind of to your point, it may be helpful, aside from the bargaining process, if we provided people, a more complete explanation of how complicated this really is. If for no other reason than that it doesn't seem like it's like a mysterious black box thing. It is crazy though. I mean, this has like years Z, and for whatever reason it doesn't have all of the letters in alphabetical order, which kind of is weird to me. But years M is years of military service. There's a bunch of that. So sorry for making this way more complicated.
so with all that being said, could this work plugging in other things?
I think, yes, I think this is like good rough numbers. I think we would need to
Fine tune?
Yes.
So I have a question, just,
Kevin?
yeah, how many employees don't have, and you may not be able to tell me this right away, maybe you can. How many employees don't have years X? Like out of the 58 or 59 or whatever, how many don't have an X number?
You've got the information up there that says 1,200 are between 0 and 2 years. So I guess what I'm saying is your information for years X is accurate. It might not capture all of this stuff, and as as was just mentioned, we know that it doesn't for some people because they have years of experience that were not counted in years X. Again, because of the type of experience, because of, the timing of their hire, those things, and that's really all that I was trying to capture.
No, but I'm trying to get a better number. So like, social workers wouldn't have it, psychologists wouldn't have it, everybody in special instructional wouldn't have an accurate year X? You do. Well, you don't get anything then. You're good. Because you're blowing my plan.
No, I wouldn't say that everyone in there doesn't have an accurate. I would say, again, it would depend on what was submitted, when they were hired. I mean, it's, what was approved because of recency and validity requirements, the evaluation of what was submitted. This is again, I think, one of the things that makes the experience credit, set up so frustrating for people who are new hires, because, they say, okay, I've been working for 15 years. Okay, but have you been a classroom teacher as narrowly defined by state statute for 15 years? Does that meet the recency and validity, test? Which again, I think is one of the reasons why there was the interest in looking at career ladder level as another way of doing that, and maybe getting away from tying money to years of experience, which is already a point of contention for a lot of people.
So all these outliers we've been talking about would be included in the career level scenario.
There was the other option that would have the career ladder level determine the pay bands, and so that would be another option. I don't know if
That would
that's...
include everybody. I'm saying the outliers we've just been talking about, that would include all of them too. The
Yes.
career, okay.
Yes, so there would be people that have moved on the career ladder. Now, years X would count into whether they moved on the career ladder, so we wouldn't completely get around it, but for the people that have been here for enough time to move on the career ladder, most of them are going to have years X comparable to what's required, because you need to have the number of district evaluations comparable to, the number of years X that are required.
Okay. So, Anna, since you have the microphone in your hand.
I just was curious on how those employees were captured in your proposal, option 1 and option 5.
I'd have to pull those back up.
Option 1 was on the chart up there. The 2% range from 0 to 3 years, 47.5. You kind of broke it down by years, like.
So we were pulling the same information for years X. I think the difference was when you look at, this is, okay, so 5 plus 1, so 6 and 7. Those both have a distinction where special instructional are put at the highest amount. So let's say the TALC has 20 plus years, that would raise the pay to, I don't know what the exact amount would be. I'm guessing that's like a cumulative, so is that 55,000 or thereabouts?
What would 20 plus years be for yearly salary? Would that increase 24?
It would be the increase would be based on whatever the employee's base salary was. If each of us sitting here at this table were in 20 years, each of us could be on a different salary, have different base salary at this point because of the way we had to do increases. So you would get that dollar amount added to your pay.
So
To your base pay.
So you're saying, so someone that would be hired in with 20 plus years of experience would be at $50,000 then? That would be the new hire salary schedule based on this, because they'd get the 47.5 plus roughly 2,500?
Let me pass you down.
Okay.
Go ahead, Kerr.
Let me answer your question with a question.
Okay.
Because I don't think this involves any type of true-up. The only thing that this involves are increases to base salary, and then from here on out, or I'm sorry, starting now or next year, the base salary, 0 years of experience would be 47.5.
Okay.
So we didn't move anybody to a band. These are just single increases.
Gotcha. So then I guess that would make it harder to do what we were saying in a couple of the different options that we put out there. That would be, if we did pay band 14 plus would be what we would put special instructional at. And then for JROTC, we would make sure that JROTC instructors receive a minimum of a 2% increase. That was something that we put into later kind of pay band structures in order to account for that difference, which is consistent with what we have right now, because special instructional staff get maxed out in terms of the what the experience credit would be worth, 50,500. That was the max end of experience credit.
All right, Sam.
If you could clarify, what do special instructional currently get as a brand new? What's their base?
50,500.
So then what was presented, they would already have been there and everybody already got trued up to that. So they, whatever their year's X, or whatever their district L, whatever that is, they would just fall there. So it'd be added on to their, say they're at 55, whatever that is. So why do they need their own special if they already have a base?
So I guess, and this is kind of, I think what Kerr explained, that those are not intended to be pay bands and it's not intended to be a true up. That's helpful. I guess the kind of to do what Kerr just did, to not to respond with the question, but I think so what you would have is you would have, kind of like Anna said, if I'm brought in at 50,500 with 0 years of experience, I would get one amount for an increase. If I'm brought in at 50,500 with 14 years of experience, I would get a different increase. Part of the problem, though, is that could be a difference of, was I hired this year or was I hired last year? I could have worked alongside someone, and I'll use like the nurse example again. I could have worked alongside someone in a hospital setting for 14 years. They got hired last year and they got to receive credit for all of their years of experience. I got hired this year. I did not get to receive credit for all of my years of experience. They're going to receive a larger increase than I am because their hire date is different. But we would otherwise have similar experience. The same thing could be applied for, well, you know, the way it was validated, this person did or did not receive that credit. It's just another wrinkle. I don't think, no judgment one way or the other, just trying to make sure that that's accounted for in the explanation.
All right, Iris, I saw your hand at one point, a long time ago, so.
So if special instructional are being hired at the max rate, like you mentioned, Sam, then wouldn't it just be determined by the years of service that they have in the district, which is D, you said? Years D?
For special instructional, they wouldn't receive years D because that's years of district teaching experience. So a nurse is not going to necessarily have teaching experience. L would be non-consecutive years of district service in any position.
So what would X be?
X would be creditable years of experience. So that would be years that count towards initial salary placement, and then it rounds up, you know, a year every year.
Okay, but if you've already reached the max, then why are we counting the credibility and not the years?
So you would get the maximum salary, starting salary of 50,500, but you might still be at 0 for X. You wouldn't be at 20 for X if you didn't have 20 years of experience. It wouldn't change your pay.
Okay.
where in years past, that would have made a difference. If you had 20 years X, you might have higher pay than if you had, 2 years X.
Anna, then Amy?
So in previous bargaining, we would look at the different, we would look at the different salary bands. We would see like all employees 0 through 3, and we would see, where their salary was and like the different peaks and valleys and what so that they had. And so what I'm hearing is that alongside of this direction that we were going, that there is also a need of a starting place as people get hired into the district with different years of service. And so my question is there somewhere like I know minimum base right now is 47.3, but if you come in with 5 years teaching, is there somewhere what the current starting salaries are with years of service, somewhere that we can go through that then, because I do see where if you hire someone with 15 years experience, where do you start them at after giving these types of increase? That would be helpful for us to kind of move forward in the direction.
All right, Amy? Will, you want to answer first? Amy?
Yeah, if Amy's all right with that. We do have that. It's 47.3 for anyone with 0 through 13 years of experience coming in. That's part of the compression issue that we're seeing, and I know we had this once before, and recruitment can tell you it kills a lot of their prospects because you go tell someone, I don't care how many years you taught in another state, it doesn't matter, you're going to get the same, as Kevin has said, as the person that just crossed the stage, at FGCU.
We love them.
Yeah, love them. Not a judgment again. But I think the other thing, and this is where the pay band concept is helpful too, is you don't have situations where people then say, well, I'll just quit and come back and give myself a raise, which I think is a potential if you were to do 2,400 to anyone with this number of years. There might be someone who then if we picked a starting salary, they would still be below that, and so they would say, oh well, for $500, I can go the 45 day waiting period for my insurance, because I want that $500 and I want it to count towards FRS and everything. I would not encourage people to do that. I think that's a gamble, but that's something that we've heard pretty consistently in the past when you don't do that true up and make sure that your current employees are making at least what someone coming in with comparable experience would be making.
Amy?
I appreciate that you're trying to be fair, Will. I really do. But as a teacher that's been in this district for a very long time, there have been moments in my career when things have been very unfair with salary. So for instance, the year I was supposed to get that big, huge bump, they collapsed all of the steps. So there was a large group of teachers that it affected. We're looking at the teachers that are here right now, and I feel bad for the people that are coming in that are not going to get that raise. But there are a lot of teachers that have been very loyal to this district and been here a very long time. And they've taken a lot of hits over the years with salary. So again, I feel bad for those people that came in and maybe they only got the 47.3 because they were 0 to 13 years of experience. But we can't really do anything about that right now. Maybe next year we can work on, it used to be 10 years of experience, right? It was 0 to 10.
It's been different at different times, and that's, I think, another thing maybe worth kind of capturing for the story. We have a limit on, you can bring in up to 10 years of out-of-state experience, because that's what was required statutorily at some point. That hasn't been the case for some time. We started probably 3-4 years back limiting total experience to 20 years in an effort to kind of front-end load things, which has been beneficial. There's other districts that only allow 10 or 15 years of experience total, and then they really, you know, enrich what each one of those years of experience is valued at you know, for initial placement. I think your point is absolutely accurate. There have always been inequities in the salary schedule, or at least as long as, you know, anyone can remember since, you know, the loss of tenure. I think we can do something towards that, and I think that that doesn't necessarily need to be the primary focus. You know, people in the first 13 years of their career, but I think if we don't do something in terms of, you know, supporting recruitment efforts, or if we don't do something in order to make it make more sense, it's going to hurt our retention, because a lot of times people get hired and they think it's like it was when they were up north, and so they're asking, you know, what does a master's plus this get me? And we say, oh, we don't have that. You know, no one in Florida has that. We do something totally different. It's not going to make any sense to you. And so 6 months in, you're saying, well, what am I doing here? You know, if it's taken me 6 months to figure out what my pay is based on my experience and all that. So shoring that up helps make sure that the people that we do recruit, that we have a better chance of retaining them. It helps us retain some of the people that have been kind of caught in the middle of the states, you know, back and forth over some of this stuff. But I think your overall interest of making sure that we're not just focusing on the lower end of the salary schedule when we're talking about equity, I think is important too. I think we have to look at equity for everyone, not just the people that just got here or have only been here for a couple of years.
All right, Rob, I noticed you handed the mic to Will. Did you want to say something? And then I have Ann and Bob.
So I think, I mean, it's 5:15. For the sake of moving things along, what Kurt put up there, there's no inherent objection here. I mean, we don't know the actual cost, but the idea. But I think we also have an interest in doing some kind of banding to help alleviate this compression issue that has really, I mean, think about that. You have 13 years teaching experience and you start where a teacher with no experience has. I mean, not for nothing, I've only been back 6 months, that's ludicrous. But anyway, so we have to try to fix that in some fashion. So a combination of these two things, I think, is maybe where we're headed. And I'm just saying that so we can kind of move along and maybe put our heads together and figure out what that combination may be.
All right. Anna?
Thank you for that introduction, Rob. So my question is, theoretically, looking at something like option 5 on the chart, 6 somewhere else, because it's a market adjustment after a 3% increase is option 5 on the chart. Theoretically speaking, the TALC increase proposal, once that went through, then if we have that market adjustment as a layer, then that also helps with taking this 0 to 13 away of getting 47.3, and that would those new market adjustments become where a new employee would enter the district?
Did you get that?
Kind of, sorta, because I think what TALC put up there was just for current employees, 59.59, that's the number.
Exactly.
But the starting salary based on the bands in number 6 or 5, it's actually 6, I guess, option 6. Years 0 through 3, if you came in here with 0 to 3 years experience, you would get 47.5.
Yeah, we're on the same page.
Okay. Now, the combination of those two, I think, exceeds our bargaining authority. So that's why we have to go back to work on, I see Kevin nodding his head, we have to go back to work maybe on the numbers.
But my main question is this market adjustment, Once that is put in on whichever way it gets there, whatever layer, once that's there, if a new employee was hired at year 7, then they would then start on, let's say option 5 on the chart, C would be 5,500.
50,500.
All of those zeros. That's correct, like that's where we're on the same thing. I don't know if I'm talking it correctly. Okay. Bob, do you need to talk or do we want to focus?
I'll pass.
We want to focus?
I'm glad you were the one who said there's not enough money here. I mean, in an ideal world, I would love to have the best of both worlds, give people with 20 plus, $2,600 and band, you know what I mean? But there's not enough money here for that. And a lot of our goals tonight were to finish, we need to get something done, we need to settle. And so if it's this today, and again, TISA money we can do with whatever we want to next year, increase in base student allocation, and possibly banding when we come back. And I will tell you, FEA wants me to send a letter today to go back for bargaining for next year, but I'm not gonna do it. Yeah, they wanna run the two simultaneously, not gonna do it. So again, if it's one of those things where if that's the scheme or the plan or the goal, then, you know, I think our plan kind of does address the compression that took place, because as a 20-year employee, yeah, I didn't get a $6,000 raise last year, I got a $1,200, but I'm gonna get more this year than the new employees who got $6,000 last year. So it is creating inches of space where there's probably a mile to go. But given the money we have, it might be the best we can do now. And on that, I think we need to caucus for a few minutes and talk about stuff.
You want to just respond to that before the caucus, Rob?
No, I appreciate what he said. We're gonna caucus also.
Okay. All right. Okay, looks like we have everybody back in the room, so, TALC, you called the caucus first, would you like to give a caucus report?
Sure. So we had just at-length discussion on oh man, I've lost count now. Like 18 options, 19 options, and we're very comfortable with, our option at where it is. And we've heard some of the concerns and I think we can address them, at least address some of the concerns. And we can talk about that after the caucus reports, but, a lot of our interests involved equity, retention, recruitment as well, and also, for lack of a better word, paying people what they're worth, I think is something that one of our team members said. And there's been so much focus at those at the bottom end of the salary schedule. We think it's by time to add some to the top. So I know I'm just rehashing what we said before, but much of our caucus was much of that as well.
All right, thanks, Kurt. Rod?
Yeah. Excuse me. Ours was fairly brief relative to conversation. Kelly has been over there trying to do math for the past half hour. So I think conceptually, we're all in the same place. It's obviously the devil's in the details. We do have, I guess it's an option, which is to 0 to 2 years. So this would be, I don't know, option 20. We would like to simply put them at $47,500. I know TALC's current option has them getting $645.
Okay, can you repeat that again so Tracy can get it up there?
Yeah, so an option is to raise the 0 to 2 year employees with 0 to 2 years X to 27, goodness gracious, my starting salary when I graduated law school, 47,500. We'll just leave that option there. The other thing is, which wasn't part of our caucus, but something that I think we want to possibly talk about is a special center supplement. The amount that Will has referenced to me is $4,000, and this is another option to put up there. That would include Royal Palm, DJJ, Buckingham, Success Academy, and LAMP. Where's she at?
She doesn't have any of them up yet.
Okay, Royal Palm. DJJ. Buckingham. Success Academy. And LAMP.
Okay. Okay, is that it?
Yeah.
Sure.
I have a question. Oh wow, I keep forgetting how loud this is. I have a question and something to add. I'll start with what to add. So we, what am I trying to say? As it comes to, as it refers to the special instructional folks, part of our thinking to help address that concern would be to simply add $200 to every, can't use step, can't use wrong, every placement on a salary schedule. Yeah. So that then the special instructional starting salary would increase to $50,700, which if the base salary moved from $47,300 to $47,500, we slid that over as well. And we did have some conversation around the credible years of experience around the special instructional and feel that those years at PeopleSoft should be adequate. My question in relation to the special center supplement is, how do I want to ask this? The money to pay the $4,000 supplement to each employee that's at each of these five schools, is that money realized from the savings of the 0 to 2 year change?
Potentially, yes.
Kevin?
So if I just started this year, I'm 0, right, for payroll purposes? And so my raise would be $200?
Correct. Last year they got.
I understand.
Okay.
But, and so, when you look at what we had up there, does that still entitle those employees to the TISA money adjustment of $225? It's an order of operations thing.
Yeah, no, I understand.
The first we were spending was the $225, and then we were doing kind of, I don't want to call it banded, because whatever, but the groupings. You know, so the 645 in the first grouping was really 645 and 225 to make 8 something. So is the 0 to 2 going to be the 2 something from the TISA and then the 200 proposal you guys have? Because, I mean, I don't think this should affect the TISA because the TISA's like here. But I appreciate the special center supplement, and as my years wane on, I may go back.
So the TISA would go first, the way I understand it, which is 1.4 million.
So yeah, so they would first get TISA, which would actually move them to 47 to 525, and then they would get a $200 raise on top of that as well.
Theoretically, yes, I think so, but obviously,
yeah, no, I'm just.
This is all in flux with the math.
Yeah, I get it, yeah, but I mean, the TISA money's kind of locked down and okay, and like, that's been spent, so you know what I mean, the 225 is.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure that the only, and I appreciate they got 6,000 last year, and a lot of people didn't, but given the current nature of things, $200 isn't much, so 400 is better than 200.
I understand. Yeah.
Okay. Anything else?
Are the other parts of our options still the same? So you're just changing this?
Oh yeah, no, that was just it.
All right, so you're just modifying the 0 to 2, and then again, the starting salary for special instructional going up, raising both floors together, right?
Well, that's your option, right?
Yeah, raising both floors together.
So I think the dilemma we have is we don't have the exact math done.
Right.
So, and I hate sitting here putting pressure on Kelly to try to figure that out. I know what our objective here tonight was, so I also
We do have Thursday.
We do have Thursday.
I know.
So we also have to talk about implementation, and we still haven't dealt with special instructional coverage. So there are a couple of things, and if we have to meet Thursday for a few minutes, it's Thursday for a few minutes.
And if that'll give Kelly more time to get the correct numbers, then it's better off that way to have the right numbers than to come back later and say, oops. Will.
I wasn't sure. I know Robin mentioned kind of as a separate option the special centers supplement. I think we had shared that based on the current number of employees there and that $4,000, that was roughly about $300,000 to do that. I don't know if there was an appetite to move in that direction. One of the things I think that in terms of story to capture on that, and I'll spare everyone the details, is that since the start of this year, staff and administrators at the special instructional schools have been sending kind of regular reports and updates on what COVID is like for them. I know that, if you look at what it's like in some of the most difficult classrooms in a general ed setting, That doesn't even scratch the surface of some of the things that those schools are dealing with when it comes to COVID, the stresses placed on children, the stresses placed on their families that then kind of, show up in the students' readiness to learn each day. They're suffering the same staffing shortages. I know Royal Palm, they had some busing issues and had kids loaded up on, double buses, so they're an hour and a half on the ride home after kind of a rocky, school day, and staff at the school was staying behind, to wait on buses to arrive, and they said, we're good, we know the kids, but God bless that bus driver, because they have no idea what they're in for in terms of the ride. It could be a number of different things. And so again, I think if there were some way to come to some sort of consensus on that, it might be helpful to those people at those schools. Kevin probably is more well-versed in what it's like than anyone in here, but I've gotten detailed reports from Buckingham and others too on just the struggles on their end of things. And I can share those with you guys if you want. They said to do that freely. I can tell you some of them are kind of graphic, but if you're interested in knowing more, that can be shared with the bargaining team too.
So aside from this job, Royal Palm is the best job in the county. I don't care what anybody says. As long as you know what you're getting into, it's a great job. I'm really interested in this, and this is something we've talked about for a couple of years. Like Kerr had asked and had mentioned, I'm just wondering, because $400,000 is not a small amount of money, but it's not a large. So I'm just wondering, will it, and this could be something for Thursday, would it be realized from the change to the 0 to 2 kind of grouping? And if so, I'm definitely in favor of that for those teachers.
I think quick math, I think our thought was that change would be maybe $700,000. And so again, the special center difference would be roughly $300,000. So I think that would cover that. And then maybe also allow more money than if you wanted to kind of spread things out more. I don't know how much it would help spread them over a larger group of employees, but it could also be applied to other stuff.
Okay, it's coming to you.
So just a clarifying question to what Kevin asked a few minutes ago about that 0 to 2 band. We talked about the TISA money, which was that $225 to everyone, and then he also asked about $200. So when I do the quick calculation, we originally with the 645, we had a little over 700,000 for that group. I think we would need to, if what I heard correctly was the TISA money, the 225 plus 200. If we change it to that, we would spend out of that 700 about 243,000 or so for that 0 to 2.
I think with benefits, it's 288,000.
For the 0 to 2?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Will?
Yeah, that's one of the other things I think as we go back and look at the numbers, the FICA Med, my understanding is that the rates have gone up on that, so now we're looking at closer to 19%. And obviously that has to be factored in for budget's sake, but that's something that if we were to adjust the numbers, the percentage would change, and so again, it might put a little more or a little less in different places depending on how we do it.
Okay. Iris?
And just for clarification, for those supplements for the special centers, are special instructional staff also included? And how would it work if special instructional staff got reassigned? How is it paid?
Will?
So I think the plan was to try and do something similar to what we've done for turnaround schools, where it would be tied to the location, and so anyone assigned to that location in PeopleSoft would receive the money kind of on an ongoing basis. If they came in later in the school year or left before the end of the school year, they would get kind of a prorated portion. For special instructional staff, if you're talking about, the school nurses assigned to health services, not specifically to that location, I think we would probably then do the same review process that we do with special instructional. Currently, where we reach out to administration at that school, we reach out to whoever the administrators are for, health services, psych services, social work, RSLPs, and find out, was this person assigned to one of these locations for 100% of the school year? And if they were 100% of their time at one of those schools, they would get the full amount. And some of that is because of, I think, some of the things that you're mentioning, where people don't necessarily get to pick whether they're at, Pinewoods or Lamp. That's kind of assigned, but if someone was 100% of the time at Success Academy, Lamp, we would want them to see that.
And if a person were there, let's say half of the school year, and then someone were assigned, how would that work?
So for the turnaround supplement, we haven't done that. It's been, if you're 100% of the year at one of those schools, and 100% at those schools. So if I'm at, for turnaround, Franklin Park and Villas, Franklin Park's on the list, Villas is not, I would not be eligible. And some of that is because of some of the difficulty that we have in being able to track, okay, well then, how many days were you there, and how many days were you at the other, and what does it say on paper, and what was it in reality? And so I think the thought was by saying 100% of the year, 100% at a turnaround school, or for this, at a special center, I think it would be to try and say, we'd like to encourage administrators where possible to have a designated person who works specifically with, student populations at these schools, and to keep it that way. Again, I know that that's sometimes difficult to achieve because you might have students with certain needs at certain schools, or there might not be, there might be some load issues, but that's something that it's a kind of a yes, no, and we have gone to, again, the administrator at the school, and then whoever the district administrator is, and said, can you both confirm? I want to say one year we had someone who started in November, and so one of them said, no, they weren't here 100% of the year, and the other person said, well, they were here 100% of the year that they were here. They started in November, so they couldn't have been here, before that, and so that person may have received a prorated amount based on the number of days they worked that year. But again, I think the intent was school nurse, turnaround school, you get it, school nurse, turnaround school, and some other combination, school nurse, not at a turnaround school, you don't get it. And I think the same logic would probably apply to this. But we would have to figure out if there's an easier way to do it. Obviously, again, we would want to do that. Doing it manually at the end of the year, or in April or whenever, is not again to anyone's benefit.
Okay, thank you.
All right, anybody else? Questions, clarifications? Any more options? All right, where do we want to go from here? Hey, years ago I had 108 once, when I was on the bargaining team. Just all on transportation, that is. So, Kevin.
Well, it's 6:34. We have a meeting on Thursday. I believe we have consensus around an idea. And so I think the only thing that's interfering with that idea being formalized is the math. And so we can all sit here for the next 26 minutes and stare at Callie while she does math under pressure. Or
and she won't get anywhere.
And she probably won't get it done in 26 minutes anyway, because it's a lot of math. Or we can just say, hey, everybody have a wonderful night. We'll see you 4 o'clock with this and bang through this first thing and then get to implementation and like one other thing.
All right, Rod?
No, I think I agree with that. In fact, I text Kelly and said, make sure you do it right.
Right.
And the year's X thing is the complication, so I agree with that.
All right, so with that, good work tonight, Kerr.
The only thing that we request on Thursday is to have some sort of visual, like a spreadsheet or something, so that we can see the option up on the screen, and I think we'll be all right.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, and with that.
And Ben offered to bring steak and lobster on Thursday.
Oh, and I'm not going to be here. Thanks, Ben. All right, have a good evening, everyone.